And listen, we're going to be covering and watching the Jets throughout the entire season.
Why would
Hopefully
that
for
be?
many, many seasons to come for brother Zacharias F. Wilson, right? And to talk about how the first weekend went, we're going to bring back to the program the Daily News Jets beat writer DJ Bien-Aime on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. And DJ, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. Great to have you, man.
Thank you for having me back. Last time was fun. Hopefully this can be better. We can overanalyze some of the beautiful out routes that Zach Wilson was throwing. So
that's exactly right, man. And Tristan Hodge is on the team, at least trying to make the squad as an undrafted free agent as well. So okay, yeah, let's talk about and we were talking about in the opening segment the overreaction of the video and commentary and whatnot, but things seemed like they went well in the first weekend. Everyone's saying and doing the right thing so far.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Saleh said he liked what he saw from Zach Wilson the first few days of rookie minicamp. The ball barely touched the ground, according to him. So that's always a good thing. He said a lot of the right things. A lot of the players have been reaching out to him. He's been reaching out to a lot of his draft classmates, just trying to build that chemistry, show that leadership. So far, it's been going extremely well.
Zach Wilson, we know, and it's gotten a lot of attention. One of the quotes he mentioned was the fact that he feels like, nothing's given to me. I'm going to have to earn this starting job. Does he really have to earn the starting job?
Technically, yeah, sure. He has to earn the job. But if he's not the starter week one, probably the only way, in my opinion, maybe he got kidnapped and took to Mars. But, he's going to be the starter. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't use the number 2 overall pick on Zach Wilson. You have no other quarterback, and he's not going to be the starter. So, yeah, that was the right thing to say. I have to earn my role, things like that. Yeah, great. Jet fans are going to eat it up. Jet fans on Twitter like, oh, my gosh, he's saying all the right things. We love this guy. Yeah, but he's going to be starter. I mean, he knows he's going to be the starter. So,
Yeah, it is what it is, right? This first offseason with him, what do Jets fans want to see? What before we even get to a game? Is it more of this? It's good practice film and him saying the right thing for several months?
Yeah, I mean, right now they just want to see the talent. They just want to see how good he really is. They want to, fall into the hype in a sense. Because, I mean, he looks really good in practice. Some of his throws, he looks really smooth. I love his arm talent. He has a lot of zip on his balls, a lot of velocity. Arm strength is there. You see some of the athleticism when he's going through some drills. So Jet fans, they just want to continue to see the talent that they invested in with the number 2 overall pick. So,
DJ, there's been a lot of talk about the acclimation process in terms of getting yourself acclimated to New York, to the area. Look, I mean, and look, you told us you're from Miami. You had to acclimate yourself, I'm sure, to New York.
Yeah.
But you weren't coming in as the starting quarterback of the New York Jets. What do you think is the biggest thing that he is going to have to acclimate himself to?
In my opinion, it's probably just being in the AFC East that has all of that great defensive coaches, along with, learning the playbook and adjusting to the lifestyle of being a professional athlete. But the number one thing is being in probably the toughest defensive division in the entire NFL. You're going to be in a division with Bill Belichick, see him twice. Brian Flores, see him twice. Sean McDermott, see him twice, So I think that would probably be the biggest adjustment, because when it comes to developing a quarterback, the number one key is, can he win a division? Can he be in contention to get into the playoffs? And to get to the playoffs, you have to be able to get through your division. So I think that's going to be the biggest transition for him, is just going from, obviously going from college to the pros, but you're in a division where the defenses are, good to elite.
The schedule is going to be released this week. Are there any specific matchups? Obviously, we know the opponents, but that you're hoping happen the first couple of weeks as Zach Wilson gets used to playing in the NFL?
Well, I think the number one matchup will probably be playing the Carolina Panthers, Zach Wilson versus Sam Darnold in a sense. So, I mean, that would be great for TV, great for coverage, great for all of that, I think that will for sure be great. And, probably playing maybe the Jaguars, where their defense isn't that great. It wasn't great last year. It was bottom 3rd in the NFL. So that would be a game to ease into in a sense. So I think those 2 games, those are ones that pop out on my mind. Selfishly, though, I'm just hoping that, if they play Atlanta too, because Atlanta's defense was trash and they didn't really do much to improve it. And hopefully that game is in Atlanta, because there's a chance that it could be in London, and I do not want to have to travel to London to go and, watch the Jets play. I mean, I know people have told me, hey, you could be in London covering football. If I'm going to London, I want to go there on vacation, not for work.
Even if work pays for it?
Even if work paid for it. I want to be there on vacation.
So Zach Wilson, starting left tackle this past year, Brady Christensen was drafted by the Panthers, so that could be interesting. Should he be maybe a starter as well? And then 1 versus 2 with Trevor Lawrence, there's always going to be comparisons with those guys. So I think that's interesting as well. And you bring up a great point with that division, the great defensive minds, right? And the challenge of Zach Wilson and company going up against that is going to be fun. He did tell us last week, hey, I don't feel like I have to be the savior of the Jets. I feel like we have a lot of weapons around me and a good system. So I thought that was good, because if I was him, I would be feeling like I had to be the savior of the Jets. But it feels like offensively, Mike LaFleur and that staff are trying to surround him with some weapons. How do you see it?
Oh, yeah. He has Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Jamison Crowder, Denzel Mims. He has Michael Carter in the backfield, Tevin Coleman, an approved offensive line. I know Sam Darnold is probably thinking right now, where was all this when I was a quarterback? Like where was all this? I was literally talking to a former San Francisco player that was with Mike LaFleur in San Francisco. He played running back for them, and he just told me, hey, he's a genius. He's going to do great things in New York as an offensive coordinator. So, because he said like the offense is so quarterback friendly, they always have an answer for everything. So Zach Wilson is going into that situation with the weapons that he has. Can the Jets be a little bit better at tight end? Sure. Could they shore up the right side of the offensive line? Sure. But from a weapons perspective, it's really nice. I mean, you saw some of the routes Elijah Moore was running. His routes are so crisp from what we've been able to see. Corey Davis, he should be able to become the number 1 receiver in an offense that's going to feature more of a pass attack versus when he was in Tennessee, that, they ran the ball 30-plus times. When you got Derrick Henry, I can't blame you for running the ball 30-plus times. So in this situation, he should, be in a way better situation than Sam Darnold ever had with the amount of weapons that he will be afforded.
There's a lot going on in the New York sports scene right now. You have the Knicks back in the postseason. You have the Yankees that have won 7 of 10. The Mets, their bats underperforming after spending a ton of money to bring in some big-time free agents. What's the biggest story in New York right now, and where does Zach Wilson to the Jets fit into that?
So I think the biggest story is the Knicks. Knicks fans, they run New York. Like I've been to some debates about, maybe the Nets are taking over New York. No. There's like no chance of that. Like Knick fans, the majority of basketball fans in New York happen to be Knicks fans, and it's just they've been there longer. They've been there since the '60s, so that's kind of been ingrained in the culture. Yeah, the Nets are obviously the better team, but Knicks fans didn't even expect to be in this position. Now they're a top 4 seed, so I think that's for sure the biggest story. And I think where Zach Wilson falls into that probably is right there behind the Yankees. Yeah, right there behind the Yankees in a sense. I mean, the Mets are kind of like the Nets in a sense, where you got the Yankees, and most fans love the Yankees, but sure, you got some Mets fans, just like you got some Nets fans. But I think Zach Wilson probably falls in that, in between the Nets, the Yankees, and the Mets overall. But Knicks number 1, that's for sure, without question.
Hey, Knicks and Yankees, depends on what borough you're from, right? In Manhattan, you're winning right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I've seen a game in the Garden. It was one of the coolest sports experiences I've ever had, a playoff game, no less, which is rare for the Knicks. I feel like I saw a piece of history. I do want to ask you about Tristan Hodge, the undrafted free agent from BYU who's trying to get a spot as an offensive lineman. How much of a shot does he have within that offensive line system?
I get him better than a 50-50 chance overall, because, the offensive line, even though they added Elijah Vera Tucker with the 14th overall pick, the offensive line still needs some improvement, especially on the right side of the offensive line. But as long as Hodge shows his versatility, which I know he has the ability to do that because he used to play an offensive tackle, and now, he played guard, so he has the ability to move around, and he just, competes every day in practice. I think he has a better than a 50-50 chance, especially, that continuity with Zach, things of that nature. I think he has a really good shot, as long as, he's just not terrible in camp. But I don't foresee that happening. But overall, he has a good chance. we'll see how the chips lie. We just got to see what happens in training camp, how he looks overall against that type of competition, because he's going to be going against Quentin Williams, going to be going against Sheldon Rankins in practice, doing one-on-ones. So, because the Jets' defensive line, it's probably the best in the AFC East overall. But as long as he can hold his own against those guys, he has a really good shot.
And coaches always love a dude that used to play at Notre Dame. Okay, DJ, we appreciate the time, man. Best of luck. Enjoy Miami, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you later on.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. That's DJ Bien-Aime on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why, we show how.